I can do cockroach, I can do spiders, I can do snakes, but rats and mice. And then like my husband reminded me that growing up, uh, you will see a rat pass in the living room, and I was petrified. And my mom, she's in the Congo right now, and she's like, yeah, she put like the food up here because the rats came. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, okay, wait a minute. These are the realities. Because in no YouTube video they're ever going to show you a mouse. And I was like, you know what? Am I willing? And my husband went back to Cameroon last year, and I was like, did you see any rats in the house? Because I was like, and he's like, I didn't pay attention. So I'm like, oh, so maybe there was some that you didn't see. And he was like, that's normal.
It's normal. We don't even notice. CEAV English Talk, a talk show in English on a variety of problem-solving ideas that are creative, educational, altruistic, and vital. Episode 7. Enjoy. Hi.
Hi, Elian. How are you?
I am doing great. Great to see you at last.
Great to see you. Great to see you. The power of technology, right?
Yeah, definitely. So as you said that you were planning to come to Africa, so I would like to have this conversation with you. I mean, because more and more people are leaving the States to come to Africa. And we Africans, we are doing the other way. I mean, like, we are planning to go there. And you are planning to come here. So we are curious. I mean, what is going on? So welcome to the CEAV English Network. Today's guest is Dr. Linda. Would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Elian. I'm so honored to be here. I've been watching your videos, and I love what you do, and how valuable information you share with your audience and everybody who's there to learn and to listen to you. So I'm Linda Enoh. I am a wife, a mom of 4 kids, ages 9 and under. I am originally from the DRC, but I've never lived in the Congo. It's a complex story. Depending on who is asking, I'll give them different answers on where I'm from. So I could either say I'm from the Congo, I can say I'm from Morocco, I can say I'm from Africa, I can say I'm from Houston, Texas, depending on who's asking and the context. So I've been living in the US for about 20 years now. I live in Houston, Texas, and I love it here. And with my husband, we are planning to move back to the motherland. And we're excited about this journey, and we feel like now is a good time to do that. And we're doing it in maybe non-conventional way. Like, we're not necessarily following the crowd and following the typical destinations, and we love it. And our reasons might be different than most people.
We are very eager to know your reasons. I mean, those you can share with the public. But
of course.
Those you don't mind sharing, we will be pleased to know those. But before we go into those details, those very exciting details, first off, how did you get to the US?
Yes. So I was born and raised in Morocco. So my parents had gone to study to the US in the 70s. So I wasn't even born yet. And they went there through a scholarship. I think it was the Rockefeller Scholarship or something. So at some point, my dad, who's like responsible for us, me and my brothers, to come into the US, he knew that after undergraduate, so we all did our undergraduate school in Morocco, and he knew that the goal was to go and continue our studies in the US. So he's the one who kind of showed us how to do that and the process and everything. So my oldest brothers and 2 older brothers and myself, we went to the US. My younger brother went to the UK and then Canada. And then US and then Canada. But we all came to the US for school. So I came here for grad school for my master's, and then I pursued my PhD, and then I continued teaching in the university. So as a professor, and I met my husband here. So it was for school that we came here for grad school.
I see. So you say you got a PhD in, what did you major in?
Yes, so my PhD is in tourism sciences. So I study tourist behavior, like how people experience sites, specifically heritage sites. So sites are related to slavery, war, cemeteries, so things like why people visit those places and the experiences that they have there, if it's historically accurate. So it's a mix of history and tourism. That's what I study.
So you got in the US with your family, and you started pursuing your graduate studies, and you got a
Yeah.
PhD. Congratulations, good.
Thank you.
So now you are Dr. Linda.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what do we call you, doctor in, you say, tourism and?
Yeah, tourism sciences. That's basically doctor in tourism. Yes.
Okay, wow.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Honestly, it's my first time to hear about doctor in tourism.
I know, I know. So very few people know about that. And it's the side, it's less of the commercial side, but it's the research side of tourism. So how to develop a tourism that is more sustainable and to make sure that is community based, that local communities can benefit from tourism development. So it's not just, okay, let's build casino and let's build this, but okay, how do we build a tourism industry that is fair to local communities? And that's basically the science behind it.
Okay. So after graduating, you've been teaching solely, or
Yes.
you've been running businesses? Or what have you been
Yes.
doing?
So after, so and one rectification. So my eldest brother is 7 years older than me. So he came to the US 7 years before me. And then my second brother, who's 2 years ahead of me, but we came to the US a month apart. And so we all went to different parts of the US. We were still by ourselves, but in different parts of the US. So what did I do after graduation? So before graduation, so I graduated in 2011 for my PhD, but right before that, I already had a job as a professor at a university. And so I started teaching, and then I passed my dissertation, graduated, and then I taught for a year. And it was another town that was like about 5 years, 5 hours away from where my then fiance lived. And so I resigned so that I would get married and join my fiance
Really?
in
I
Houston.
mean, that's not
Yeah.
something that we used to hear. Like, you resigned. I mean, nowadays, you as a woman, you resigned to join your then
Yeah.
fiance. I mean,
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, and no regrets at all because I mean I'm a city girl first of all, and he lived in Houston, which is a big city, and the university where I was teaching, it was not in the middle of nowhere, but it was. I didn't see myself there living there for a long time, basically, and I knew that was the right move to make. So yeah.
wow, great, great. So now, so you moved to that other area in
Hmm.
the US,
Yes.
and what did you do then?
And then I got a job offer from my alma mater. So the university I graduated from, they were like, "Hey, this position. We'd like it for you to take it." I'm like, "Sure." And so I taught there for a few years until I started my business on the side while I was teaching there as a professor, and then I resigned from there so that I could go into my business full time. And that was 7 years ago.
Wow. We know many entrepreneurs, like starting from scratch, and we have those kind of entrepreneurs who are like going through a kind of transition. They are having a full-time job in nine to five, like you call it,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
they are preparing to transition to be full-time in the business. So please tell
Yes.
us a little bit about this transition, if I may say so.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So actually, when the funny story is that you really have to have faith because when my husband and I got married, we were both unemployed. So I quit my job, and he got laid off from his job, and we didn't tell anybody. So we were like lavish wedding from our savings and all of that. So we had a great wedding, and then we looked at each other like, okay, let's apply for jobs now. And so while we were both unemployed and living our best newlywed life, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I've had the book for a while, but I never like really read the book. And so I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get started. I need to do something. So I built my website from scratch and just by watching YouTube videos. And I really, at that time, I was really interested in talking about travel. Like travel is a passion of mine. And I really wanted, so I started a blog that was 2000, January of 2013. So 10 years ago, started a travel blog just to talk about travel, not to sell anything. It was just to write about travel. And as soon as I started that, then I got the job offer. So whenever I would travel, um, either with my husband or then after that we had our two boys back to back, I would write about travel and put it on the blog and, things like that, just low key. And then little by little, I was building it, building it, building it, building it. And I wanted at some point, a few years later, like 4 or 5 years later, I was like, you know what? I really want to dedicate some serious time into this thing. And so that's when I was like, okay, I started getting some coaching and understanding the business behind the blog. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm ready to go full time with the business.
So you come from a very, let's say, diverse background, originally from DR Congo, born and raised in Morocco, moved to the US. I mean, studying tourism was a natural way to go.
It was, and it's funny because it's like now, like 20 some years ago, I see the path, but back then I was lost. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I don't know. Because my undergrad was in business, right? So in Morocco, I did business school. I went to business school. Then for my master's, when I came here, I did hospitality management. So hotel, restaurants, and the tourism part of it. And that was like, I didn't plan to go for a PhD until a professor did a presentation on a research project that he did in South Korea. I will always remember that. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do what you did. And he's like, yeah, that's consulting. You need to get a PhD for it. And that was the sole reason why I wanted to get my PhD, to be a consultant and to be a tourism consultant. And so once I got into the PhD program, that's when you start teaching classes as well. And I'm like, oh, I love teaching. So then I was like, okay, I want to be a professor. So I went into, okay, I want to be a professor. I want to teach tourism. I want to teach hospitality. I want to teach business classes. And I did that. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to go back to my love of consulting, tourism consulting. And that's something that I do as well now.
So it's not like you had
it was like that. Even though we right now we see, oh, there's a direct line, but when you're in it, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But in the end, you see that, okay, this was meant to be.
It's funny because many coaches, like mainly from the US, I mean, those we listen to and watch on YouTube, they say that you need to have a clear, perfect vision, like a big picture, as if like you already know what you want. You have the big picture, and then you now start from the beginning, but it's not realistic.
It's not.
Maybe they are at the end of the road and they speak like as though they already knew what they wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they want to make some sales, but in reality, it's not true. It doesn't work that way. And you and many others, and even me, we are the living proof that it's not true. It's not real. It doesn't work that way. Tell us more. Can you please elaborate on that? Because it's making many young people be delusional because they think that, yes, I need to know what I want, what I need, and everything has to be clear before I jump into, and they happen to be doing nothing. They are stuck. So please tell us more.
That is so true because it's funny. And every schooling that I did, that I went into, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So when I was in high school, I wanted to be a professional basketball player. That's what I wanted to do. That was my vision, right? It didn't happen, right? But that was my vision.
Almost like me, because like I am what we say in I don't know what you call this with like 5 foot something, but I'm 174 centimeters.
All right.
So I'm quite tall for a lady. So I was like, I want to be a basketball player. I was also into those
Exactly. I'm 180, so I'm
Wow,
5'11. I'm
taller than
180.
me.
Yeah, and in my life, like I would eat, breathe basketball all through junior high and high school. It was like we won championships, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And that's also when the movie Jerry Maguire. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie with Tom Cruise, Jerry Maguire. I
No,
think I
no,
went
not
in.
really. I heard about it, but I didn't really watch
I
the
think it
movie.
came out in 1997. So I was in Terminal. I went to a French school. So I was in Terminal, and I was like, man, this basketball thing doesn't look like it's gonna work, but I want to be a sports agent now. So
Because you know
I was
about all the
like,
physicality, you're like, is it for me? Really?
right. I was like, because I didn't understand the business of, here in the US, there's this whole not program, but it's like a trajectory. Like after high school, you can go to university with a sports scholarship. And I didn't know that it's an American system, and I'm coming from a French system. So I didn't know that. I would play with the national team from DRC. That's as far as I knew about playing basketball. And so when I went to school for my undergrad, I just forgot about this whole basketball thing, right? And so for high school, my major, I had the choice between let, so uh, literally, I mean, how do you say let in English? Like letters, like no, literature. There we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Literature,
Literature.
uh,
Yes.
exactement. Scientific, and I'm not a scientific person. I'm not into math and physics and all of that. Or economics. I hate economics, but it was in the middle, so I took economics. It wasn't because I liked it. It's because it was in the middle. It was the lesser of all evils. I went in the middle. I didn't know what I was going to do. I applied for law school in Morocco. I applied for the business school. So just to show you that I could land anywhere. I went to the business school and I did marketing, and I really love marketing. That's one thing that I really liked. I like business, I like marketing. And after that, so when my dad was like, okay, you need to go to grad school for your master's, and then he presented me with different majors. So there was a major in sports management, business, how you call that? Merchandising. So people who organize shelves in stores, and hospitality management. So different majors. I could land anywhere. I took the school that offered me a scholarship, and that's it. And that accepted me. So if it was another school, I could have gone to do something else. So I took the road of least resistance, right? So I did my master's in that, and then for my PhD, I was like, okay, I applied to I think 3 or 4 schools, and I went to the school that accepted me, and I applied late, anyways. So if I didn't have like this 10-year vision of what I was going to do. No, I and still today I could change courses and be like, you know what? I think I'm going to go and be a pilot, because why not, right? Because I don't. That just I guess it's my personality. I don't like to be stuck in the box and define my whole trajectory and follow that thing. And one thing that I like about the US American teaching system is that you can take classes from any major you want. I took theater classes, I took sports classes, even though my major was hospitality. You can take classes from anything just because you're interested in. So you can reinvent yourself at any point of your life. So short story short, you don't have to have this life vision to have a good, successful life. You can just take the first step, and that first step is good enough.
Yeah. But the trend nowadays, especially from students from the US, I heard that quiet quitting stuff. Quiet quitting.
Oh
Did you
yeah, yeah,
hear
quite quitting. Yes,
quiet
yes, yes,
quitting and the great resignation? It's like,
yes,
I mean, it's like people feel bored about their lives. They don't know. I mean, so and we're like, from an African perspective, we find it very funny. I mean,
yeah,
we're like, you have it all. I mean, you are not starving. and like you don't know what to do with your life. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my question is, what is holding young people back, especially in the US? What's wrong? Even though you don't have a 10-year plan or a 10-year, 20-year vision, but
Mm-hmm.
what did the previous generation did right, and the
Mm-hmm.
current generation, like the Gen Z, or what do you call
Mm-hmm.
them, what are they doing
Yeah, the
wrong? What are
changes.
they getting wrong? What's wrong?
Yeah, and I think that it's a very interesting point because as I'm not a Gen Zers, I'm like an older millennial, so I understand them a little bit, but at the same time I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? So I'm like in between, and I'm like, it's I would say it's a good and a bad. The good side of it is that they know what they don't want. They know what they don't want, and they are bold enough to say, I don't want this, and I'm not going to tolerate this.
But
That's
based
on
off
one,
what?
based on what they know they can get and
How?
what they think they deserve, as real or not real as it is, they think they deserve better. Now, I can say you don't deserve more, but from their position, they claim they deserve better work conditions, for example, uh, more holidays, for example. And when I'm off on my holiday, I'm off. While millennials and older generations, when they give me a job, I'm grateful, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to go above and beyond because I'm grateful for this job, and if it's extra hours and I'm not getting paid for it, it's fine. I'm just going to do it because it's a job and I'm grateful for it. But for Gen Zers, it's more of I can quit today and get another job. It's more of you have to pursue me instead of me chasing you. So, like I said, the good thing is that they're bold. That's one thing that I would say, okay, I kind of admire about them. It's like they're bold. For us, it's like, oh, thank you for the job. Oh, I'm so grateful. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. We're lay on the floor just for the boss, right? So that's a good thing about them. Now, the bad thing about it is like the boldness sometimes is misplaced because it's like you don't want to do certain jobs that are required, and that's where I feel the boldness turns into being snobbish, being entitlements. That's the word that I wanted. It's entitlement is saying I can do whatever I want because I want to do whatever I want.
Even
No
though they are not
reason,
deserving of
even though there's no
getting
deserving,
the return.
even though they haven't done anything in their life,
No
they
track
haven't got
record,
the
no
degrees, they
nothing.
haven't gotten the experience to justify the amount of money. Because they just say, I deserve, and we live in that generation where everybody deserves to be happy, everybody deserves to have it all, and all of that, right? So it's like they claim they deserve to have it all, and they don't have to start from the bottom. They don't have to
To
do
walk
the
the
manual
path.
work. They don't have to climb the ladder. They don't have to work the process. So that's the bad side of it, of that boldness. In my opinion, that's how I see it. It's like, yes, you're bold and you stand up for your rights and everything. But at the same time, it's like, okay, what kind of rights do you have as a 20-year-old, right? It's like, just come to the job, right? So it's like, and so sometimes they're being seen as lazy, as entitled, as all of that, which I personally believe it's true. That's my personal opinion. But at the same time, they are the ones who are changing the workspace for all of us. So if they benefit, we also will benefit because they're the ones pushing the thing, like daring people, administrations to give us more, and we also benefit from that. So it's like, yes, and
Yes. I mean, it's really important for us Africans to understand this, but because, like I said earlier,
yeah,
we are many of us are like struggling to get to the US, like because this
yeah,
is the promised land. Europe
Absolutely.
is no longer a thing. I'm telling you.
People
No,
lost it.
if it was
Yeah.
easier to go to the US, I mean, like through from a boat, I mean,
People, a
we
lot
would
of
have
people will
been
go.
blessed, but it's
Yeah.
a long way. We just
Yeah.
can't. We have to.
Yeah.
We need a plane, or we have to go through Europe and like do like
Yeah.
this. But
And even
honestly,
that.
when you talk to many, we talk to many of our friends, relatives, like and people who manage to go to Europe. Most of them are like, no, Europe is not the last station. No,
Hmm.
we want to reach. We want to go to the US. And we will
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
time that it takes, and then we will eventually we go there. That's it.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
very
so
true.
you being in the US, it's important to have your perspective and to see how to understand the viewpoint. But you've been there like
Absolutely.
legally.
And that's the thing. I've been on the other side. I was on the other side, and I can tell you everything. And it also answers your previous question about millennials and Gen Zs and all that. When you have everything, you get bored and you ask for stuff that you don't even, you claim you deserve, you think you deserve, but you dare to ask for things and you're like, what makes you think that you deserve this? And when you have more than enough, you get to that level where you're like, you know what? I'm 18 and I want a plane, or I'm 18 and I want, because you already have everything paid for.
Without even
So
deserving most of the time.
yeah, yeah, nothing says you deserve it. On based on what do you deserve it, right? And so I think that there's a lot of that. And for so when I was in Morocco, growing up in Morocco, and I guess it's two dimensional because I grew up in Morocco, but I'm not Moroccan. So I knew I was a foreigner, and they made it very clear to me that I was a foreigner, racism and all of that. So I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't wait. I didn't know the Congo. I had never been to the Congo. So for me, my aspiration wasn't, let me go to the Congo. I had never been. The only thing that I knew was what I saw on TV. Okay. And I saw, okay, Europe, the US. So I'm like, okay, this is where we're going to go next. For me, it was based on studies, based on where can I study and get to the next level. Okay. So it was going to either Europe or the US. Europe, we kind of tried, but we knew the French system was a little, I don't know, it was a little hard. For us, it was a little harder to get to France than the US because I'm trying to remember back then, it the system was a little too, I don't know, back then it was just a little harder for us. It was easier for us to go to the US than France based on all the justification, based on uh, you have to find somebody there who lives there. But in the US, you don't necessarily have to find somebody there because we didn't have anybody there. It was just my parents here in Morocco with me. But in France, you had to have somebody there, and you would need to find an apartment. There were so many more hurdles for us in France than it would be the US. And when I was there, my perspective was, I just want to get out of here. I just want to get out of here, right? So I understand that perspective because I was there. And so living in the US for 20 years as an African who is now naturalized American and who wants now to go back to the continent, it sounds, and this is the thing. People who want to go to Africa, live in the US, the comfort of the US, because there's a lot of comfort.
Yeah,
A
you need
lot
to
of
go
comfort.
into more details because, like, the other,
Yeah.
the way back to Africa, like, you are going
Yes.
to give up many
Yep.
things.
Yes. There's a lot of things that you give up. A lot of Americans want to go like to Portugal, to Mexico, where it's like a little lateral move. The comfort is a little less, but not as low as, okay, going to the continent. And again, it depends on where you go in Africa. So I'm just going to generalize. It's very comfortable life here in the US. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of bad things here, like police brutality and stuff like that. But chances are you can live a very, very good life here. I'm not gonna lie. So why would I want to leave that comfort to move to Africa? Your reasons have to go beyond comfort. The reasons cannot be because I want a comfortable life, and you have to be aware of that. And that's why a lot of people do not choose Africa to go back. I mean, it's who wants to have power cuts? And again, it's not everywhere. Who wants to have to go and wake up at 2 a.m. to fetch water? And that's what happens in the Congo. Like my
And
mom is in the Congo
internet
right now.
issue, like now, you
Yeah,
can see it's cutting a lot.
I can't keep my light on all day here if I want. Wonder what? Sure, my bill is going to be high, but I never turn off the AC. The AC is in the whole house. It's not in one room and then one room and I use the remote. No, 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 no. It's so comfortable. Why would I want to leave that and move to a more uncomfortable life? And I am aware, I'm not delusional. I am aware that it's going to be uncomfortable. But I'm also aware of the positives that will trump the negative. And if the positive are higher than that, I'm willing to make the sacrifice of the comfort.
Uh,
Because
Sorry, I have to be brutally honest with you. I mean,
go ahead.
we Africans, we still can't get it. Like, we don't get it. Like,
Yeah,
sister, what is going on in your mind? What are
I
you
know.
coming here to do? I mean, there's nothing interesting here. Stay there. Why
I
coming
know.
back?
And
Please don't.
please, right? And that was my sentiment for the first. So I met my husband 15 years ago. So I had been in the US for 5 years. And when I met him, I always knew that he wanted to go back to Africa at some point, right? He grew up in Cameroon and then, but he was born here in the US and went to school here in the US. So when he told me that, I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So at some point, like in 10 years, in 20 years, in the back of my head, I did not have any intention to go back because I wanted to goûter la vie
Yes.
américaine, right? I wanted to, I mean, I had been, it's like you've been in the desert and now you go and you get to the oasis. Why would you want to go back to the desert? I needed to get as much as I could. And because, again, you remember when we talked about because you have everything you need, now you can
Yeah.
ask for delusional things. Because I have reached that, now I can say, you know what? Let's do something crazy and let's go to Africa.
Definitely crazy.
Something that people, even my parents, would be like, why do we paid money for you to get out to study there? For you to have a family there, your kids are born in America, your kids are American. Now you want to go back to the starting point. But here's the thing, when you leave the US, you don't leave the same way you came in because you need those years to accumulate money, to accumulate experience, and accumulate a certain sentiment of satiation. Till today, I wasn't satiated. I still needed to do more and get more. And so now that I'm at the level where I'm like, you know what? I think I've done what I needed to do. Now, with the resources that I have, with the experience that I have, I can go and I'm saying that as brutally honest as I can. I'm not going back to the same level where I was. Right? So when you see the diaspora going back, they're not going back to the house where they lived before. Chances are, maybe for the transition to the beginning with the family house and everything. But then they understood that with the resources that they have, they can afford a better lifestyle in the same city where they grew up. And that's the thing. Now, it's a little different with Abidjan because Abidjan is very expensive. So
We are going to get into that. Don't worry.
yeah.
Abidjan is an
Oh,
it's a whole nother level.
it's killing my budget. It's killing it. It's killing it. But if you take Cameroon, for example, there's no reason why we wouldn't live in better comforts than here in Cameroon, because you will have enough money for your borehole, for your backup generator. You would have a nanny. Nobody has a nanny here in the US. Only Hollywood or the rich. It's unheard of. I cannot afford a nanny here. No way. I cannot afford a cleaning lady. Only she comes once a month, and I pay $200 for it. But these are comforts from here, which are normal back home in Africa, right? So those are the comforts that we're willing to trade. So we want those comforts that we don't have here, like the human comfort. The fact that I go to the hospital and deliver my kids and my mom can only be here for a week, and then it's just me and I have to cook meals. This is unheard. When I tell my friends who live in Abidjan, like, is it just you? You drive your kids, you cook. And I'm like, it's just me. She's like, how do you do that? Everybody does that. So the comforts that you have in Africa, we don't have here. The comforts that we have here are different than the comforts that we have now. So we want to trade. We want those comforts now. I want the nanny. I want somebody to cook for me because I'm tired of cooking. I hate it. So that's what I want. The things that you take for granted and I would take for granted in Africa, like having somebody to help. I'm not asking for a governor of the house or 10 staff. I just want one person. I just want one nanny. I just want one person to maybe cook.
And you have plenty of those here. And
right?
For a low pay compared to, like, you won't even pay $200 per month. I mean, it doesn't reach that.
You cannot afford that here.
It's lower.
Yeah.
I see.
And that's what we want. Because we've reached a level where we've worked so much. We've worked, make money, work, make money, work, make. That's all you do in the US. You don't come here to chill. You work, make money, work, and all your money is going into bills. Work, make money, bills. It's not going into the comfort. It's going to the basic necessities like AC, a house, and all that. And I'm very grateful for all of that. But the next level of the comfort, like having a nanny, having maybe a driver if you want, nobody has that. Nobody has that. It's all you. So you're stressed out. So people who leave are the people who are stressed out.
We definitely need to hear those things from people living in the US. Like, we are so much brainwashed by the movies we see, like the fashion industry, like Hollywood. I mean, we see the artificial side of America.
Yes. We see the Hollywood. We see the Hollywood. We don't see the regular families. The regular families are struggling. The regular families are stressed out. Like this summer, so my kids were out for the summer for 3 months. They finished school end of May and they start end of August. You have to find activities for the kids, right? You know how much it costs for just basketball activity for 1 week?
I don't have a clue.
$100 for 1 week, one child. That's minimum. 1 week.
Are you kidding me?
1 week. I have 4 kids. How am I going to put 4 kids, even 1 month?
Yikes!
Even 1 month. Let me get the calculator. Okay. 1 month. So I have 4 kids times 100 for a week times 4, because 1 week is nothing. $1,600, 1 month of activities.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, what do I do the other 2 months? Who can afford it? Wow. Who can afford it? And you're the one driving the kids. You're the one going to the market doing the groceries. You don't have somebody going to the market for you. You go to the market, you're the one who cooks, you're the one who cleans, you're the one who does everything. Well, you and your husband, right? But it's too much. So if you know an alternative so it depends on the people. A lot of people who go, for example, to Europe is very similar to the US. So you're not going to have a nanny and all of that. No, it's just a better quality of life. You're going to have fresh fruit, good fruit, because in Europe, they don't use as much GMOs as here in the US, right? So you get fresh food. So they want to transfer their lifestyle there. Now, for somebody like me who is like, you know what, I want people around me, I want warmth, and there are other reasons too. We just touched on one, like that support system. I'm willing to trade. I'm willing to trade, even if it's temporary. We don't know for how many years we're going to be there. Again, we don't have to have everything calculated in advance, but I'm willing to make that trade because of the quality of life, because of the stress. Yeah, yeah. Those are just a few of the reasons. But and you go through that stress, and when you're here, because everybody's going through that, you're okay with it. It's normal. So we go through it and we're okay. And until you are again satiated and you're in a position to be like, you know what, I'm willing to have an alternative. But I can tell you, most Africans that I know who live here in the US would like to go back if they could transfer what they have, like if they get to that satiation level. But we still have to work. You're not there yet. Still have to work, still have to work, still have to work. And the work part is glamorous anyway, if you want, because we are in a capitalistic society. So we work, we buy, we work, we buy. Oh, look at my new phone. Oh, look at my, and that's what the outside world sees. But it doesn't show the stress and the work you had to do to get that phone. Yeah. So there's good and bad. there's,
It's,
there's
it's very profound what you're talking about. Like, here Africans, we are complaining about poverty, about like. So, tell me,
Mhm.
what does it mean being rich to you?
Oh, that's a good
So,
question.
can you say you are a rich person? You are financially. I mean, that's being rich means financial freedom. Is that
Hmm.
is it what it means to you? And is it
To me, yes.
and you have reached that level and you think now you can afford the experience you want to live, like coming to Africa and live, and you choose to live the experience. You are not
Mm-hmm.
like forced to work like the way you're working to get more money to
Mm-hmm.
pay your bills. So
Mm-hmm.
is it is it what you understand being wealthy is about?
Yeah. So I'm not rich. I'm not. I'm not rich because I still have to work to make money.
So
I'm
you are
not
not
at the
financially
level.
free, and you
I'm
admit
not
that
financially free. No.
you are
No.
okay with that because
I'm
people
fine with
are
that.
watching. I mean, we are kids are watching. Like people need to
Mhm.
be educated and understand what life is about. Living in the
Yeah.
U.S. or in Africa and Cote d'Ivoire, people need to know and to, I mean, to stop being like lied about all those stuff here online because we are
Yeah.
talking serious stuff. So you're not financially
Absolutely.
free, you are
I'm not financially free.
striving toward it, and but you
Yeah.
think you have reached a certain level where you can afford living a quality lifestyle in Africa, but not in the US,
In certain parts of Africa,
in
yes.
certain part of Africa, and you are ready to make that move.
Yes. Yes. And that's the thing. When I move, I'm still gonna work. I'm not gonna chill in Assini and drink pina coladas. That's not gonna happen. I love to work. I love to work. I have I'm blessed that I get to do the work that I love. I'm blessed to and I'm very grateful.
And you are running your own company. You are not working for somebody. You are no longer an employee because
Right.
let's get back to that point. You've been
Mm-hmm.
working for like how many years, and then you resigned, and then you started working full time on your
Mm-hmm.
job. So how many years did
Yeah.
you work?
So first of all, when I went to university, I used a system where you are paid by the university by being a student there. That's a whole conversation for some time. I wrote a book about it. But yeah, so you can go to university in America, and that's one of the other things that one of the reasons why I also want to go back is to teach what I know, teach what I did to other people who are, because when I look at schools here in the US, like I was the only African in my department. I want more Africans. to come to the US for school. And that's one of my missions. So I have to be on the ground to tell people how to do that. And that's when I went to Abidjan last year, I brought my books and I went to the American space at the university to talk to the youth and tell them, hey, you don't have to wait for that one scholarship to go to the US. I wrote a book about it. This is how you do it. But anyways, so yeah, being rich.
Sorry, the book is available.
Yes, it's on Amazon.
Okay.
Yes, it's called How to Score a Debt-Free College Education.
How to
How to
score
score
a
a
debt-free
debt-free college
college
education.
education. Oh, great. So we'll put the link in
Yes,
the
because here in the
description.
definitely, definitely, everybody, most Americans go to school with debt. So they ask for student loans, the government gives them money, and then they have to pay these loans. Most people, it will take them 40 years to repay these loans if they do. I went to school, my brothers went to school without student loans as foreigners. So we had more constraints as foreigners and we didn't get any loans. So I explain in the book how I did it. And one of my missions is to tell others how to do it too, specifically Africans, how to do it, so that more of us can come here and study and get the best education. Because I personally believe that American education, grad level education, is the best, and then go back and implement that back home. Um, but yeah, so my goal by going is not to go and retire. I'm not at an age or position where I can just chill on the beach and then money is going to come to my bank account. No. And so I'm not rich that way. I'm not financially free. Um, and that's exciting because my husband and I have a similar vision where one of the other reasons why we want to go back is to build something. Some of the things that we've learned and adapted to the needs in Cameroon, in Cote d'Ivoire, anywhere we go, and so that others can benefit. It's not just to go and chill in a big mansion and have staff around us. And no, that's a selfish and pointless life, right?
But you have a purpose.
Yes, you took the words out of my mouth. That's my purpose. My purpose, I believe, and I've believed that for so many years. I didn't know how to articulate it, but deep down, even when I just arrived here in the US, even when I was in, a part of me knew that I would go back. I didn't know how to articulate it. A part of me knew that I was there to fetch something. And today I know that that's part of it. That's part of my purpose, to be able to share what I've learned and bring it and share it with other people, specifically to Africa. I'm not personally right now interested in moving to other parts of the world. Nothing against them. It's just that I want to help my people. I that's my purpose. That's my purpose. So that's one of the things that we're going to do. Not only run our businesses online because we both work online, but also benefit from those as well. We're gonna work.
Hello. But
I can hear you. Okay.
I am having difficulty getting you. Yes.
Oh,
When you
hear
talk,
me?
I can hear you, but the image is not simultaneous with the audio. There is a delay.
Oh,
But anyway,
still right.
yes, I can hear you now. But there's a little delay.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that.
No, that you see, that's the issue about Africa. I mean, if you're ready to leave the comfort of a good internet, you are ready to trade it.
That's another thing.
That's the
Hey, you gotta
reality.
be ready for that.
You have to be ready because that's not like that's not the 5G. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
That's and you know
you
what?
you gotta be ready for it,
You have to be
and that's
ready for
fine.
it.
You know, if you have somebody in front of you who's understanding,
Yeah. And Abidjan has the best
absolutely,
internet in West Africa.
absolutely.
Abidjan has the best internet in West Africa. I Yes, I heard that. Yes. So imagine.
Oh, Well, well, well.
Yeah, I'm
Are
telling
you
you.
discouraging me from coming?
You know, I like to do that. I like to kind of uh do some pushback. I want to
Yes,
test your
I understand.
limits to see if you're
Of
really,
course.
really, that's the kind of marketing I'm doing. Even for my coaching program, I'm telling people, you really want to speak English? Are you really sure? So I do everything I can to discourage you. And if you
Yes,
are
I like it.
persistent, if you are resilient, it's really for you. And then you can go for it. So I'm not like, yeah, you
Yeah,
can do it.
yeah,
And and running after you. No. Can you really do it? I discourage you. I put so many
yeah,
barriers and I see how you react.
yeah,
Because people are seeking
yeah.
motivation. They want to be motivated. They're asking for advice. I mean, you have to be resourceful.
Mm,
People are looking for resources and they're not being
that's right.
resourceful.
That's right.
And when there is an issue, a problem coming, they're like, "Oh no, I wish I didn't do that." And now they regret, and then this is holding them back. And I say, "Okay, oh, oh, welcome to Africa."
Yay! The realities.
You can't fake it. Like, I don't like
Yeah.
fake and fancy stuff. You have to be real. That's real
Yes.
Africa
This
lifestyle.
is it.
It,
This is
and,
it.
and it's starting raining. And
Um,
if we lucky enough, internet can keep going. But if we're not,
mhm.
we can have some like.
Ay, ay, ay.
So you
Oh,
you you were talking about online business.
mhm.
Like what I'm doing online coaching program because
Perfect.
I'm not an English teacher. I did not
Okay.
graduate. Like, I did not follow the route of being an English teacher and stuff like that. I've
Mhm.
learned English, like listening, you know, and I like international experience, exchange, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I help people use English the way I have used it myself.
Mhm.
So how to be more practical. What can you
Yes.
don't go to the university? I mean, you don't study English there. Or you're not lucky enough like Dr. Linda to go to the US to study there. How can you be speaking English fluently? That's what I'm
Right.
telling people. So I'm an
Mhm.
English coach. This
I
is what
love
I
it.
did. Okay, this is how you can do it if you're willing to, if
Yes.
you are resourceful. Because I didn't have
Exactly.
the resources at that time. We had no TV, only a radio station,
Hmm.
no
Wow.
internet. Because
Yep.
I started involving myself in listening and stuff like that in 2002, like
Mm.
21 years ago, listening to
Wow.
VOA and BBC, like,
Yeah.
so that's how I manage. So when I say people have to be resourceful because they are looking for, they want to be motivated, they're looking for motivation. Okay, can
Mhm.
you, but
Mhm.
if you are not, you are not resourceful, you don't have the
Yeah.
strength within, whenever there is a situation, you just quit, you just
Mhm.
give up.
Yeah.
Can't do it anymore, like, it's not possible like that.
Yeah.
But if you have a purpose like you do, nothing can nothing can stop you. So when I talk to people,
Yeah.
I like being real. You see, I can't, I can't, I can't be not real. I don't know if it's the right way to
Yes.
say it.
Can't fake it.
I can't fake it. I don't like it. So I don't have many friends,
Yeah.
but the friends I have, they know I'm real, and
Yes.
and it's helpful. Say, okay,
Mhm.
if it's helping you, it's good because we need to be
Absolutely.
real in this life. So when I
Yep.
talk to people like you guys, hey, you want to come to Africa? Are you really sure? Yeah, I'm pushing you.
Mhm.
Like, yes.
Yes.
I mean, not
Yes. And that's the thing. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand because even when you see on YouTube and all that, it's just the good side, it's the glamorous side. And one thing that I had to realize when I went, because I am afraid of rats, mice, everything. I can do I can do cockroach, I can do spiders, I can do snakes, but rats and mice. And then the other day, I mean, it wasn't the other day, it was like my husband reminded me that growing up, uh, you will see a rat pass in the living room, and I was petrified. And my mom, my mom, she's in the Congo right now, and she's like, yeah, she put like the food up here because the rats came. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, okay, wait a minute. These are the realities. Because in no YouTube video they're ever going to show you a mouse or, and I was like, you know what? Am I willing? Because in Morocco we didn't really have mice or rats or everything. If maybe once or twice growing up in 20 years growing up. And I'm like, these are, and my husband went back to Cameroon last year and I was like, did you see any rats in the house? Because I was like, and he's like, I didn't pay attention. So I'm like, oh, so maybe there was some that you didn't see. And he was like, that's normal. And I
It's
was like,
normal. We don't even notice that they are around.
exactly.
It's like the air
So
you are breathing. It's as if you are asking, are you breathing air now? I mean,
and those are the realities. I just have to fight it. And it's like, am I willing? Am I willing? Really? This is a phobia of mine. Am I willing? I'm like, it is what it is. Against, as of now, as of today, the pros outweigh the cons. There are a lot of cons. Internet,
electricity,
the rats, if they're there,
rats,
all of that. Some comfort,
mosquitoes.
But yeah, we have mosquitoes here. They don't make you sick though, but
malaria.
Yeah, that's the thing. So the cons are still here. The pros are still here as of today. The day it gets here, we're going to reconsider. But so far, it's here. Once we get there, and if it gets like this, we'll be like, you know what? Let's go back. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And at least you tried. No regret.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you only have one life to live. One life to live. And I thank God that you have seasons of life. In previous seasons of my life, I would never think about leaving the US. In previous seasons of my life, I only aspired to go to the US. You go through seasons.
Well. As you can see, we couldn't continue the interview with Dr. Linda Enoh due to the rain and internet issue and electricity cut, everything all together. It's funny because we were talking about the reality of living in Africa and she could sense it in real time. So really funny and eye-opening. Anyway, that was part 1 of our interview with Dr. Linda Enoh. And part 2 will be about her professional and business journey in the US till her move in Africa. So check it out and see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.